I want to start with a scenario that I think pretty much everyone has faced. You're at, say, a dinner party or maybe a second date, and things are going well, the vibe is good, and then someone asks you the most normal question in the world. So tell me about your family.
And freeze. Total mental freeze.
Complete freeze. You know these people better than anyone on earth. You have, decades of drama and inside jokes and love. But what actually comes out, it's always, well, I have a mother. She's nice.
She's nice. It's the conversational equivalent of just beige paint.
Exactly. It's so flat, it's black and white. You have this, rich, complex reality in your head, but the words you're using are stuck at a kindergarten level.
It's a really common struggle.
Okay.
We default to what you might call dictionary list descriptions. We just list the roles, father, mother, sister, and attach the safest, most boring adjective we can find.
It doesn't help you connect with anyone.
Not at all.
Right, and that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're looking at this really fascinating 3-part series from a channel called Daily English Dive.
Yeah, with the hosts, Sophie and Jack.
And their series is, on the surface, designed for English learners, people just trying to expand their vocabulary. But the thing is, the frameworks they use, honestly, they're better than some therapy sessions.
I completely agree. Their goal might be language, but they end up giving you this incredible psychological portrait of a family. They go from personality to conflict all the way to tradition.
So that's our mission today. We're going to take their strategies, their power words, and communication tools, and really upgrade the way you talk about your own family. We're moving from that black and white sketch to full color.
And we're going to follow their structure: personality, conflict, and tradition.
Let's do it. So section 1, personality. Sophie and Jack kicked this off with the concept they call the evidence method. This is their cure for the word nice.
The evidence method is brilliant. It's all about how the human brain actually processes character. If you just tell me your sister is reliable, I'll believe you, but...
It goes in one ear and out the other. It's too abstract.
Exactly. So the method is you choose your adjective, but then you immediately follow it up with a specific story, the evidence.
Okay, so in the source material, Jack gives an example about his sister.
Right. He does. Instead of just saying she's reliable, he tells the story about a time he was sick. She didn't just, send a get-well-soon text.
No, she drove 3 hours in the pouring rain to help him.
Right. And stayed up all night. Now that sticks. You don't just know she's reliable, you can see it. It turns a label into a whole scene.
I love that. It's show, don't tell, but for your actual relatives. And this works for everything, like your brother is stubborn. Okay, fine.
But if you say, my brother is stubborn, he still thinks he's the best video game player in the world, even though I beat him yesterday.
Now you've got a whole dynamic. Okay, so speaking of describing relatives, they spend a lot of time on parenting styles. And this is where the vocabulary gets really nuanced.
It really does. They set up this kind of spectrum. On one end, you have the strict parent, high expectations, lots of rules.
The be home by 6, eat your vegetables, all that.
Yep. And on the other end, laid back. They described it as being like a soft pillow, just relaxed, calm.
But the big insight, I thought, was that it's not just a choice between those two.
Exactly. Sophie points out that we think strict is bad and laid back is good, or the other way around. But psychology offers a third term, authoritative.
Ooh, okay. Unpack that. Because authoritative sounds a little like authoritarian, which is not good.
That's the key distinction. An authoritarian is like a drill sergeant. Rules, but no warmth. An authoritative parent is the sweet spot. They have the rules of the strict parent.
But the warmth of the laid-back one.
Yes. They don't just say, don't do that. They explain why. It's strict, but it's fair.
That's such a useful word. Strict sounds rigid, but authoritative. That sounds like a mentor.
It completely changes the narrative from one of just control to one of guidance. And it helps you describe your own childhood so much more accurately.
They also got into sibling dynamics, specifically birth order. Now, I know birth order theory is a bit debated, but as a descriptive tool.
Oh, it can be frighteningly accurate. They broke down the classic archetypes. The firstborn is usually responsible, but can also be a little bossy.
Third parent, the one telling everyone else what to wear.
Totally. Then the lastborn, outgoing, creative, but also maybe a bit dramatic.
Jack, in the video, admitted he was the youngest and then immediately asked if he was being dramatic.
Right. And then you have the middle child, the classic peacemaker, solving all the problems between the other two.
What I liked, though, was that they also gave us words for how those relationships change, because you aren't stuck with how you were at age 10.
That is such a good point. They talked about moving from being competitive, fighting over the front seat of the car, to being supportive.
From rivals to allies, that's the dream.
That is the dream. And that leads to the vibe of the whole family unit.
Yeah, this was good. Because a word like chaotic can sound really negative.
It does. It sounds stressful. But Sophie suggested using the word lively. My family is lively. It implies energy and fun, not just a mess.
And on the flip side, if your family is quiet, they aren't boring.
They're reserved or peaceful. It's all about the framing.
Okay, so we've got our evidence, we've got our vibe, but let's be real. Families aren't always just lively and supportive. Sometimes they drive us completely crazy.
And that was part 2 of their series, the complex stuff. This is where the English lesson really became a psychology lesson.
It started with the classic overprotective parent. Jack mentioned his mom calling him 5 times to ask if he was wearing a jacket, and he's, 28?
It's funny, but it's also so frustrating. And this is where they brought in the metaphor of the glass box.
I thought this was so powerful.
It is. The idea is that an overprotective parent isn't nagging you because they think you're incompetent. They don't doubt you.
They doubt the world.
Yes, they see the world as this dangerous place, and they just want to keep you safe inside a little glass box. It's all driven by their anxiety.
So when you realize it's about their fear, not their lack of trust in you, it changes everything.
It does. You stop taking it as a personal insult. You see it as a symptom of their worry. It's what they call the anxiety loop.
That reframing is huge.
Mm.
And it connects directly to the next big framework they talked about, intent versus impact.
This is a heavy hitter in relationship psychology, absolutely essential.
It's for dealing with those critical family members, the aunt who comments on your weight, or the dad who asks why you don't have a better job yet.
Oh, yes, and the impact of that is just pain. It makes you feel like you're not good enough.
Right, that's the impact. But the intent, usually it's coming from a place of love. They want you to succeed, to be happy.
But there's this huge gap between what they mean and how it lands.
So the strategy Sophie suggested was to acknowledge the intent out loud.
Yes, to diffuse the impact. You say something like, Dad, I know you want me to be financially secure. You're naming the good intention. But when you criticize my job, it actually makes me feel really discouraged.
That's so mature. You're not attacking back, but you're not just taking the hit either. You're bridging that gap.
You are. And speaking of bridging gaps, we have to talk about love languages, specifically the cut fruit theory.
Yes. I loved this.
It's brilliant. So they contrasted outgoing families, the ones with lots of hugs and I love yous.
With the more reserved families.
Right. And in a reserved family, you might never hear the words, I love you. But while you're studying, a plate of sliced apples will just appear.
That's the I love you.
That's the I love you. It's acts of service. It's silent love. And the point they made is so important. Don't judge your family's quiet love against someone else's loud love.
It's just a different language. You're listening for English, but they're speaking fruit.
They're speaking fruit, exactly.
But sometimes that translation error is generational.
Yeah.
They also talked about old-fashioned views, like the pressure to get married.
The traditional expectations, the grandma asking every single visit, so when's the wedding?
And the advice there was about being diplomatic, setting a boundary, but doing it kindly.
And they gave a great formula for it. I statements.
Right. So instead of, stop asking me, you're so annoying, which is an attack.
You focus on your own reaction. I feel stressed when we only talk about marriage. Could we maybe talk about my work instead?
I feel emotion when action. It sounds simple, but it's hard to do in the moment.
It's very hard because it means being vulnerable instead of defensive. But it's how you say no while still keeping that connection open.
And keeping that connection is so vital. Which brings us to their final section. Section 3, roots and bridges.
This is where we zoom out. We've done individuals, we've done conflicts. Now we're talking about what holds it all together, what endures.
He started with rituals. And Jack, in the video, admitted his family's ritual was, well, kind of boring. They'd walk to the same park every Sunday.
Sit on the same bench. But Sophie immediately corrected him. She called it a safe harbor.
That phrase really stuck with me. The idea that the repetition, the boring part, is actually the whole point.
Especially for kids. The world is changing and unpredictable. Knowing that on Sunday we sit on this bench is like a psychological anchor. It creates stability and a sense of belonging.
So it's a misconception that traditions have to be these huge, expensive trips. Friday night pizza can be more powerful because it's consistent.
Consistency always beats intensity. That's the rule of rituals. And these rituals are, of course, part of your bigger heritage.
They use a tree metaphor for this. Ancestors are the roots, we're the branches.
And you connect to those roots through authentic things, like a family recipe. Sophie called it a time machine.
I love that. The idea that you're smelling a soup your great-grandmother smelled, it just collapses time. But, and this is a big but, sometimes those roots can feel less like an anchor and more like a chain.
The restrictive trap, that feeling of being torn or feeling guilty. Maybe the tradition is that everyone stays in the same town, but your dream job is in another city.
It can feel like a betrayal.
It really can. But this is where Sophie offers this incredibly empowering framework. She calls our generation the bridge generation.
The bridge generation. I think this was my favorite concept from the whole series.
It's so good. It frames your role not as a puzzler of tradition, but as a filter. You stand between the past and the future. And your job is to decide what to preserve and what to evolve.
So preserve the gold.
The stories, the loyalty, the recipes, the resilience, the silent love, all that good stuff.
And evolve the dust.
The outdated gender roles, the rigid expectations, the guilt. You don't have to carry it all. You are the one who decides what to pass down.
That puts all the power back in your hands. You're not breaking the chain, you're just refining it.
You're keeping the tree alive by pruning the dead branches. That is how a heritage survives. If you pass down the dust, you choke the next generation. If you pass down the gold, you enrich them.
So looking back at this whole journey, it's amazing. We went from just learning how to use evidence to describe a personality,
To navigating the glass box of an overprotective parent.
to finally stepping into our role as the bridge generation.
It's a complete toolkit. And what I love is that the vocabulary authoritative, anxiety loop, authentic, these aren't just words, they're tools for emotional processing.
That's the big takeaway for me. Having the right word doesn't just help you explain your family to someone on a date. It helps you understand your family for yourself.
It gives you perspective. When you can name the anxiety loop, you don't have to get caught in it. When you can see the difference between dust and gold, you can let go of the dust without guilt.
Absolutely. So a question for you to think about as you go about your day. We've talked about preserving the gold and evolving the dust.
Thinking about your own family heritage, a recipe, a story, a way of being. What is the one authentic thing you are absolutely determined to pass down? And on the other side, what's the one piece of dust you're ready to let end with you?
That's the work, right? The work of the bridge generation. Deciding what crosses the bridge.
It's big work, but it's maybe the most important work there is.
Thanks for diving deep with us. Now go call your parents, or maybe just cut them some fruit.
Or maybe just eat the fruit they cut for you.
Exactly. We'll see you next time.